Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm your host, Drake Maverick, and today we're going to be talking about Nick Fuentes. At least we're going to be reacting to Nick Fuentes, some of the things that he has to say, as well as talking a little bit more in depth about the Minnesotan shooting of the ICE officer shooting the lady we now know as Nicole Renee or Renee Nicole. Either way, it doesn't really matter that much, as well as some of the things that have occurred over this past weekend, including Russian oil tankers at Venezuela and the U.S. seizing that oil tanker. We're also going to talk about Candace's latest episode, where she starts talking about how basically a few people connect to the what the hell is it called? A child trafficking ring. So it's like connecting Erica Kirk and this other individual who works at Turning Point USA, who has been playing matchmaker basically for a while around Turning Point USA, and basically been bringing all of these people together and bringing them into Charlie's life. We're also going to talk about something that's happening in the world right now, something very serious that I hope my audience takes very serious, and that is the possibility about a full-scale civil war breaking out. And I normally am not like a doomsday type of guy, but right now there is a perfect storm for something very big to be happening. So I hope you guys all enjoy the episode. Hopefully YouTube actually shows people this episode, because it seems like when I put a lot of work and create a video and then post it online, for some reason or another, it doesn't end up actually being shown to anyone. So hopefully that changes. I'm going to do as much as I possibly can to write a very good description with a lot of good keywords and really get my video out to an audience so I can gain some sort of traction with some followers. Also, we're not just going to be covering politics. Like, I plan on broadening out and doing a bunch of different things. It's just right now there's a lot of political things going on that's going to affect every single person, so I'm talking about them. This channel might talk about politics more than anything else, but I do plan on switching it up, talking about things like Grand Theft Auto being released in a little while, as well as like new technological advancements in AR or Palantir, or maybe even touching up on some Christian concepts, talking about UFOs and aliens. I'm super into aliens. I hope, my audience is also into it. There's been a lot going on with people coming out at Congress and telling basically members of Congress that not only do we have alien spacecraft that have either crashed or landed on Earth, but we also have aliens themselves. I mean, we literally have aliens. So that's friggin' nuts. We're definitely going to be touching on a lot of these things. If in the meantime, if you want to look up the newest information about aliens and disclosure, I recommend going and looking up a guy named Jesse Michaels. I might just go ahead and edit this video and put his link right over here. But I hope you guys really enjoy this. And we're going to jump right into it. So let me go ahead and switch it up for you guys and show you what we're going to be listening to today.
Get to the bottom of this. And by the way, we all need to demand that our Trump government, they have to get to the bottom of this. If it was Israel, if it was leftists, we need to know what threat we face. If Charlie Kirk is being gunned down for not taking money from a foreign state to support their war, that's a problem. If Charlie Kirk got gunned down by a terrorist cell of insane left-wing trannies, we need to know that too. And what we're getting from the government is not good enough. Trump is playing golf. Kash Patel is at dinner. They don't seem to know what they're doing. Trump is posting on Truth Social about football. Allegedly, one of his close friends, one of his important allies, is laying dead, and we don't know the killer, and we have no idea what's going on. There could be reprisals, there could be copycats. Where's the leadership? Where's the press conferences? And by the way, I am sick and tired of seeing the worst governor in America, Governor Cox from Utah, this pro-trans, left-wing, anti-Trump scumbag, constantly jumping in front of the cameras and giving campaign speeches. I have had enough of him. This country did not elect that dirtbag. This country elected Trump to appoint a DOJ and an FBI director that would get to the bottom of things like this. And where are they? See you in Valhalla? Fuck you. Posting about the NFL rules? Fuck you. Where's our vengeance? If we can't get justice from the government, you're going to get vengeance from the people, and it's going to be ugly. And I don't want to see that. I'm not encouraging that. That's not a threat. That is an observation.
All right, I really got to stop doing this. I turned my mic up a little bit, so hopefully that helps. But I am totally sick and tired of hearing that, okay, it's just a clean, shut and closed case, and we know that Tyler Robinson did it. Obviously, we know that's not true, and we know that my audience also follows Candace Owens. At least I hope so, because Candace Owens is the only individual covering this with some merit and a huge audience, and she's doing a really good job. Even though I don't think that Mitch Snow was the correct direction to go in, I could very well be wrong. Maybe he's telling the truth. I don't really care about the character attacks. I don't care if he beat his wife 10 years ago. That's irrelevant. He has made a claim. He has proved that he was there. And he has made some serious allegations involving the former head of security at Turning Point USA, Brian Harpole, and the widow, Erica Kirk. So that's a huge deal. And the fact that Andrew Colvett came out and he basically he showed a picture of Erica Kirk's alibi where she says she was with her kids all morning, but that's funny. Those are not her kids, okay? And Andrew Colvett made sure to say to not show this text message to anyone. But that's really weird, to say that you were at home with your kids and to send a picture covering the kid's face and assume that that's an alibi, and we know this picture came from Erica Kirk herself. That's a little ridiculous, if you ask me. That's absolutely nuts, okay? If anything, that just proves that maybe Mitch Snow is telling the truth, because there's no other reason to lie about something like this. But we see that, Nick Fuentes has completely turned around on his position, is now saying that, potentially Israel was involved in this assassination. Maybe it is more complicated than we've been led on to believe by the Trump administration and the head of the FBI, Kash Patel, which we know is just lying through his teeth about everything, including the Epstein files, which he's lied about right on Joe Rogan, the #1 podcast in the world at the time. He just comes on and just blatantly lies about it. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we're going to let him continue here, and I'm going to try to not unmute my microphone when I'm going to talk next time.
If you deprive the people of justice, if the enemies of society are not deterred by the government, there will be more bloodshed. And we're just not getting it. Where is the leadership? Where's the messaging? Where's the information? Where is the whole of government effort to get to the bottom of this, keep the American public apprised, to deter future attacks, and to ensure that this will not happen again? Where is it? And shame on all of the Trump shills for not calling this out. They will praise anything. The Cracker Barrel logo, the Department of War, the Gulf of America. And honestly,
Exactly. And this is one of the things that I planned on talking about is the revolution, the civil war, the possibility of a civil war. Because what's happening is that not only did the Epstein files not get released, even though they were ordered by law to do so, it was a bipartisan effort for the first time in history, because we know previous attempts at getting these files released had been basically pushed off to the side by either Republicans or Democrats. But now suddenly it's a unanimous vote, almost unanimous. There is one guy who voted against the Epstein Transparency Act. But not only did he not do that, he never arrested Hillary Clinton for breaking the law. He didn't go and arrest Joe Biden or Obama or any of these other individuals who have been involved in criminal activity, including election rigging. We all know that even though Joe Biden might have won, which I doubt that completely, I think he lost by a landslide. But the fact that we know for a fact there was at least some issues with the election, even this past election, people taking in votes without having to show their ID, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. But now we have liberals running around protesting, hitting ICE agents with their car, threatening to do more violence like burn down the city of Minnesota because ICE is not allowed to just go shoot people in the head, which is complete bullshit. If you're defending yourself, you can use lethal force. That lady deserved it. We talked about that. I have a video. If you guys want to go check that out, just go to my channel. It's the very last video that I posted before this video. But this is going to start a revolution. People are upset, like super angry. Okay, I am furious. I get on X, and obviously there's a lot of foreign actors that are reposting the Renee video and saying, I can't believe ICE did this. We need to rise up. Then you go look at the account. They're from Hong Kong or Canada or Australia or Russia or Iran or the United Arab Emirates. It's absolutely ridiculous, but people are falling for the rage bait. Even though these individuals are not even from America, they're trying to start a civil war because America's talking about taking places over, which, you know, people might disagree with that. But me personally, listen, I understand that's how the world works, right? We are stronger than every nation on earth. So if you're going to disrespect us, break our laws, bring drugs into our country, attempt to pay these deranged liberals to go out and protest and riot, or do worse, commit terroristic domestic terrorism on U.S. soil, that's what domestic means. Yeah, we should just go destroy you and steal your country from you. I'm totally for it. I don't really care about other people. I'm also desensitized to those sorts of things. But I'm starting to get angry. People are not being held accountable. There is corrupt politicians all throughout our government, from the very lowest level, from our city representatives, all the way into the White House. There is so much fraud and corruption, and no one's being arrested. It is absolutely disgusting. We are getting mad because when a people doesn't believe in their government to maintain law and order in their cities, in their hometowns where they live and raise their kids, well, eventually citizens are going to take it upon themselves, get up in arms, and go handle the problems themselves. Not to mention, on the left and the right, nobody can afford a house unless you're extremely well off and not in any debt whatsoever, which is basically no one in the United States. You just cannot afford a house. Me and my wife bring in a lot of money, and we cannot afford to buy a house. We're well within the six-figure range, and we're stuck, stagnant, and it's only getting worse, okay? People are going to start getting very angry. They're going to start buying guns and ammunition. They're going to take to the streets, and they are going to wreak havoc on the system. And listen, if that happens, I'm going to join them. All right, let's continue and listen to what Nick has to say here.
I was, and I'm not just trying to politicize this, but I was genuinely disturbed by Trump's reaction to Charlie Kirk's death. Isn't this your friend? They asked him about it the day after, and he said, yeah, anyway, so we're building the new East Wing. Are you serious? You got shot. This is your 31-year-old friend who supported you for years. You know him by name. Your son is friends with him. It doesn't seem like he could be bothered. He didn't go to the memorial. He's golfing. He's dancing at a sports outing. He said he got the news about Charlie Kirk. Oh, and I was in the middle of building the beautiful new ballroom. Really, man?
Yeah, let's all not forget how he answered that question. I mean, it is disgusting to see Charlie Kirk, who basically won Donald Trump the presidency, get shot and killed on Donald Trump's watch. The investigation's a complete joke. And then he responds talking about the fucking ballroom. Absolutely disgusting. That literally gave me the worst feeling in the pit of my stomach. Okay, let's continue.
What a disaster.
Exactly, and again, Nick is spot on.
Sorry, I want to cut out this guy. I really don't care to hear his commentary behind this. I'm only using this video so that I can listen to Nick Fuentes. Even though you should go listen to this guy, I'm not throwing hate or shade whatsoever. I'm not a huge fan of his analysis, you know? I don't feel like he offers a lot to the conversation, but he's still a great guy. I recommend looking up his channel.
It's such a did.
Dollar day. It's not our job to get to the bottom of arguably the worst political assassination in America in the century. It's the job of our elected leaders, our appointed leaders, the head of the FBI and DOJ. I'm sorry, wasn't Kash Patel supposed to be on the money, no pun intended? Wasn't he supposed to be the MAGA FBI director that would clean house? Wasn't it supposed to be different? What is going on? Enough is enough already. It is ridiculous. And they're wheeling out this douchebag in front of us, giving campaign speeches about unity. You know, Governor Cox, go f*** yourself. I don't want to see you anymore. I want to see the president. I want to see the FBI director. I want to see the attorney general. I want to hear a plan. I want to hear a message. I want to know that the enemies of society are going to be investigated and brought to justice, whoever they are. And not the least bit for politics. You'd think at the minimum, because this is a friend of the president, but I guess even that means nothing. And I'm going to say this respectfully to people like Matt Walsh, who extended an olive branch, it seems. I'm going to say this respectfully because I've heard Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles and their ilk. I've heard them say this, and I'm going to assume that maybe they don't know better, and I'll be respectful how I say this. You may not take an interest in Israel, but Israel takes an interest in you. Israel takes an interest in you and every American. As long as we have a voice in America, as long as we have a vote in America, as long as we Americans have a say over our lives and our society and our government and what it does with its money and its military, and as long as that is indispensable to helping this country evade accountability for its actions, they will take an interest in you and your family and what you have to say and how you vote and even what you think.
All right, so that was just kind of the last part I wanted you guys to hear. He's going to go ahead and rant about Israel, and I'm not saying that in a bad way whatsoever. And this is something that I wanted to stop the video and talk about because it's very serious. Even if you agree with Israel, let's just take a second and look at it from an objective perspective, okay? Even if you agree with Israel. You think that Hamas is evil, Palestinians are evil, they deserve everything that's coming to them for October 7th. The fact that Israel can lobby our politicians without registering, and our politicians are sending money to Israel by the billions, I might add, that should be a problem with every single American, okay? I don't care if you're left. I don't care if you're right. I don't care if you disagree with Israel and don't think they should exist. I don't care if you agree with Israel and think they have every right to do every single thing they are doing. That does not mean you should not be livid with the possibility, and not even the possibility, it is factual, you can go look it up for yourself, that Israel spends billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars lobbying our politicians in America to do their bidding. They do not have to register as a foreign agent. And then in return, our politicians give our hard-earned taxpayer money overseas to Israel. You should have a problem with that. Okay? That should not be acceptable behavior. It makes me so furious. And for those of you who don't know, Florida just passed a law to make anti-Semitism illegal. You can be arrested. And the law is written in such a manner that criticizing the state of Israel is illegal in the state of Florida. Now, this is Florida. This is a very red state. But you want to know something interesting about Florida? Well, the southern part of Florida, sorry, I'm mumbling my words right now, I'm so angry. The southern part of Florida, where Ben Shapiro lives, is literally filled with Jewish people. And you need a lot of money to live in the southern part of Florida. It's very beautiful. The Keys, absolutely beautiful. Amazing weather. And Jewish people live there, a lot of them. Like a majority of people who live there are Jewish. They are lobbying the politicians there. The representatives in Congress from Florida are literal genocidal Jews. And you should have a problem with that because they have hijacked the conservative movement. Not to mention they have a lot of pull with the liberals too. The Democratic Party takes a ton of money from Israel. We know, I think everybody knows by now, that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. Israel hired Jeffrey Epstein to implicate our politicians in heinous acts, whether it be straight up prostitution, they're cheating on their wives, all the way to the extreme of literally having sex with children that are forced to have sex with them, mind you, so that they have them basically on a string. Anything they tell them to do, they are going to do, or they're going to blow the whistle. Believe me when I say this, the state of Israel has the Epstein files. They are very angry that Congress just passed unanimously the Epstein Transparency Act. Or they're in on it, and they've already gotten rid of all the files, and regardless of how Congress voted, they were still not going to release the files, which I firmly believe, because it would implicate Israel. So basically, Israel's holding on to the DOJ in the United States right now and saying, wait, don't release anything yet really damning. You're definitely never going to release anything that implicates Israel, but if somebody steps out of line and does something that we don't like, we're going to have you leak that information to get that individual arrested. Now, understand me when I say this. Our politicians are so corrupt that if you did release every single person who is involved in illegal activity and just went and arrested them all in our government, we would basically not have a government left. It would be detrimental to the United States for a number of reasons. Because if that information gets out and we don't have a government, what do you think China is going to do to the United States or Russia? if we just arrest all of the politicians in America. It's going to be havoc. We're going to be taken over, which is exactly what they want, and which is why these foreign countries are out here fueling the fire on X with domestic things happening in the United States, because that's what they want to see. They want the United States to be in disarray, fight with each other, so they can come over and take over the United States. Do you understand that the United States is the most important nation on earth? There's no one even close. The United States geographically is located better than any other nation on the planet when it comes to natural resources, weather, agriculture, technology, finance. We are the capital of the world. And other countries, our adversaries, would like nothing more than to take over the United States. And they're just waiting for that opportunity. I want you guys to know that. But I feel like I'm talking to a wall sometimes because liberals are so damn stupid, they don't even realize that what I'm saying is the truth. Most of the people that you look up to that are out here fueling the fire, saying fight back against ICE, they're not even Americans. Go look for yourself. Elon Musk did one of the most important things in the history of the world, I think, and made it so that you could see where an account user's account is basically used out of. So even though they put that they're from the United States, live in the United States, you go and it says the account's based in Canada. And you're like, why are you pretending to be American? Well, it's very simple. This is terrorism, and it should be treated as such. Foreign actors that are pretending to be American to fuel the fire in America, calling for riots and political assassinations, should be treated as foreign terrorists. And our government should go into those countries. Now, I should say this. I should caveat it with this. You should first ask the country to hand over this citizen so they can be tried in an American jail system, court system, I mean. And if they do not comply with that, well, then you should go there because we are much stronger than any nation on earth. We should take them out of the country forcefully. We should fine the hell out of that country. And if they still don't want to get with the program, we should overthrow their government and install somebody who will get with the program. Because, believe it or not, we are the strongest nation on earth. I want to take a second to talk about the fact that the United States, after World War II, could have taken over any country in the world. Any continent. We could have taken over the entire world, but we didn't. Why do you think we didn't? And do you actually think we could not have? After World War II, we were the only country on earth with atomic weapons. Weapons of mass destruction. We could have ended the world 30 times over again before a single other nation got their hands on a nuclear weapon. But we didn't do that. So all this hate towards America is ridiculous. Not only did we win wars, we went and helped those countries rebuild after we beat them. That's unheard of. That's beating the hell out of somebody who's your worst enemy and then reaching out your hand and helping them up and giving them mercy. It's unheard of in most circumstances. Do you think China would have did the same, or Russia would have done the same, or North Korea would have done the same? No. We are a unique nation in the fact that we have morals. Okay? Every country on earth had slavery. America was the first place in the world to eradicate slavery. No other country on earth eradicated slavery before us. We're the first people to do it. We participated in it for a very short period of time in comparison or in contrast to our adversaries, who some of them have slaves up to this day. Do you know in China, if you do a crime worse enough, not only will you go to jail for the rest of your life, but your children and children's children will also go to jail for the rest of their lives for the crime that you committed. That is something that in the West we do not believe in. The problem is the West has been completely taken over. The reason why we have issues with the West right now, because as everyone knows, we're allies with all of the West. The reason why we have issues with them now is because they were liberally infiltrated by Jews. And this is what Nick Fuentes talks about, world Jewry. They come in, they install liberals, and it changes the demographic of a nation. Go look at the UK, for example, who was primarily white for a long time and now is unrecognizable. If I went to the UK, I would be a minority in the UK. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? That Europe is slowly losing white people, and they're celebrating this. I mean, it is so disgusting when I see a white liberal in America talking about white people, saying that they're evil. You should be ashamed of being white. How dare you? You need to apologize. You need to pay reparation. You should be disgusted with yourself. It is the most disgusting thing in the world. Self-hatred. Like you're so insecure that you're willing to hate yourself for what someone else did. Who cares if they're in your family or not? You didn't do it. We're all individuals. But you hate yourself for what your grandfather did. It's disgusting. Like, God, get an ego. Like, you should love yourself. Okay? If you're white, you should have pride in yourself. White pride. White power. Understand that throughout history, white people have dominated the world. Do you understand this? Understand that the United States was primarily white for all of its existence. In like 1950, America was like 95% Caucasian, Eastern European, white. Understand this, okay? I'm gonna take a break for a second. Give me a second. Let me cool down. I've been talking for a while. I need a drink. All right, and what happened as a result of that? As a result of the United States being primarily white, well, we became the most technologically advanced nation on earth, the biggest economy on earth, the most freedoms on earth. We demolished everyone else. The United States dollar was basically the gold standard for the entire world. Look at what we had accomplished leading up to the 1950s, 1960s. And do you know what happened? There's this beautiful cycle of life that I want to bring to your guys' attention. And I'm sure you guys might have heard this before, but it's hard times create strong men. Strong men then create easy times. Easy times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. And this is the cycle of life. And what happened was we had it so good that these ungrateful bastards, the boomers, these ungrateful pieces of shit, bought their houses for $7,000. Okay? They could have bought their house with like a quarter of their annual salary. And because life was so good and they had no struggles and they basically just got through life with no issues, they started civil rights, give women the right to vote. We need fairness and equality for everyone. This is unfair. Disgusting. I mean, get a life. Fucking losers. Our grandfathers' grandfathers were the toughest men on earth. But our grandfathers, they're some of the weakest, dumbest men on the planet. Our parents, oh my God, disgraceful. Okay? I'm 32. So like late 40s, like early 50s right now, people born in the 70s or the 60s, disgusting losers, man. Some of the worst people on earth. They're out here complaining and protesting for rights, and they have their lives handed to them. If they were even a little smart in 1960, 1970, and invested in the late 90s, early 90s, invested any amount of money, if they weren't complete losers and they actually did what they were supposed to do, they'd own a house or multiple homes, they'd be filthy rich because stocks literally shot through the roof, and most of them are. Okay, our parents are doing very well, but everyone else is struggling. Why? Well, because now, for the first time in history, or at least maybe there's other times, I don't know, I'm not a history buff, but our salary, even for good jobs like nurses, dental assistants, good paying jobs, are not enough money to survive. Houses cost $500,000. Let that seep into your skin. If you make $100,000, which is a lot of money, okay, that is a lot of money, you would need to save up for 5 years and not spend a penny to be able to afford that house. And that's like a mediocre house. And in some places, you cannot find a house for $500,000. That has never been true in the history of the world. It's now like 3 times more expensive to own the same house that you're renting right now. The house that I'm renting, right, $1,800 a month, which is super high, ridiculous. It's not that nice of a house, but it's everything we need right now as a small family. This house would cost us like $3,500 a month to buy if we got a mortgage, because the price of the house has tripled in the last 10 years. But guess what has not tripled in the last 10 years? Our salaries. Minimum wage is $7.25. This should make your blood boil. And on top of that, we're in debt. What? We're in debt as a nation by trillions of dollars, the most debt in history. But guess who's not broke? Guess who's not struggling right now? Billionaires that have been evading taxes. I'm going to fill you guys in on something. I got so many clips from this one video. This is what rich people do. And it's very easy if you already have money. You go invest in companies or start one, right? That's harder. It's easier to find a company that you know is going to do well, right? If you were alive in the 2000s and Facebook's booming, okay, that's kind of common sense. I was too young to invest, wasn't even in middle school yet. But any person with a brain could have seen like, oh yeah, this is the future. And you go put money in there. Well, they get a bunch of shares, okay? And once they have millions of dollars in shares, they don't go and spend their own money. They don't go sell their shares when they want to buy something like a house. Here's what they do. They instead go get a loan from the bank. This is what Elon Musk does, and the CEO and founder of Amazon. They try to make it seem like they're such good people. They only take $50,000 salaries, guys. They're not that rich. They pay so many taxes, blah, blah, blah. They pay themselves a $50,000 salary, and there's reason for this. They own most of the shares, and when they have profit from their company, they reinvest all their profit back into the company. So it shows that they actually lost money at the end of the year. So what taxes are you going to collect? We lost money. We reinvested all of our money back into our company. Now this is tricky because you know what happens? Even though they don't have cash on hand, what they have is the fact that their stocks shot up by 50% that year. So their net worth is extremely high. They then go back to the bank and say, hey, can I get a loan? And they're like, yeah, this guy's worth $100 million. Of course, here's a loan. What do you need? I'm going to go buy a yacht. They go buy it, and they never sell a share. Now, eventually they might sell a share here or there, but generally they're not doing that. They're also doing something called debt recycling. They go to another bank, get a loan, and pay off the first loan with that loan. And they just continuously do this. This is the game that the ultra rich are allowed to play, that we're not allowed to play. We don't have enough money. And this is what they want. They want us to be in a cycle where even if you have good jobs, you can only afford to pay for your groceries in your just everyday living, okay? But you can't afford to buy stocks. You definitely can't afford to buy a home. And this is what they want. The bankers are involved. The politicians are involved. It's gross. Look at all the fraud that was just uncovered in Minnesota. That is probably 0.1% of all the fraud in the United States. Our tax dollars are being given to people to get them rich while we are drowning, while we're starving. We're hungry. We can't eat. This should make you mad. I'm telling you, things are about to get real bad in the United States. And I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer, but you need to understand that there is a recipe for disaster here. You need to buy guns. You need to buy ammo. We need to get organized. Now, I'd love to work with the left, even though I think they're deplorables. I would work with them if it meant we could destroy this government and reinstate a new government with things in place to stop these things from happening before they ever happen. But that's not going to happen. Liberals are out of their mind. They need to be eradicated, which I just heard that Palantir is actually on the side of the good guys for the most part. They are pro-Israel, which I don't like, but they are on the side of Republicans. And they want to see liberals the hell out of the United States, which I couldn't agree more. So they're using the most advanced AI technology to do that. So we're in good hands there. But understand, a war is bound to happen. Why do you think Trump's trying to take over Greenland and take over Venezuela? Because we're about to go to war. A big war with some big nations. The United States just seized a Russian oil tanker in Venezuela who was flying a Russian flag. Do you have any idea what's about to happen? This is about to be the craziest war in history. And we can avoid this, but the only way to avoid this is not by trusting our politicians and going and voting. No, we the people, as the Declaration of Independence says, has the right to overthrow the corrupt government that is in place right now because it's not working to the benefit of the American people. It's working to the benefit of the oligarchs, the billionaires, the millionaire class of people, and foreign adversaries like Israel. And if we don't act now, and there's a very small chance that we would succeed, honestly, now, it's just too crazy, the government's too powerful, then we might never be able to act again. Understand, they're getting more powerful by the day. It'll be a matter of time before there's AI-generated guns on every corner, aimed at anyone who defies the government. Understand, this is going to get very bad. We need to do something about it right now. Elon Musk is not your friend. Donald Trump is not your friend. I'm a Republican and I'm telling you this. Peter Thiel is not your friend. That's all we're going to talk about today. Tomorrow we'll talk about Venezuela more. We'll talk about the ICE shooting more. We'll talk about Israel more. We'll talk about the Charlie Kirk investigation more. But I'm going to eat dinner and relax with my family. You've been watching the Midnight Rebellion podcast. I'm your host, Drake Maverick, and I'll see you again next time.